Hello, beautiful people. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. It's Winnie here again in another video. And in today's video, we are going to be making the skirt part of the Veekee James bridal wear, as I have promised. I've brought it to you. And as you already know, Veekee James clothes are masterpieces, alright? It's not for beginners. You have to understand you have to have the basic knowledge of sewing to understand the techniques in this video. Nevertheless, I have broken it down into very simpler methods that you can also grab as a beginner. So if this is what you would love to learn, keep on watching. Don't skip any parts because the arcing technique is in the later part of this video and you don't want to miss it. All right, share my videos, like my videos, share with your family and friends, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Do well to also turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the tutorials I'll be uploading in the nearest future. So without too much talking, let's get to the honey of this video. Let's go. I love you. Hey beauty, welcome to my channel. Because this skirt part is really wide, I am going to be using a miniature, like a small piece of paper, to illustrate what I'm going to be doing so that you can see every part of it very well and understand what I am going to be doing. But I'm going to rush the front part. I'm going to kind of rush it because I have a detailed video on how to make a mermaid skirt in another video, and I'm going to be dropping the link in the description box below. So now we are going to be drafting the front pattern first, and because this is a miniature, I'm just going to be eyeballing some measurements. I'm just going to be using my creating measurements. All right, so by the time you're applying it on your real pattern paper, you are going to know what to do. So now the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm just trying to create my block, and that is the largest part of my body, the hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. That is what you are going to use to create your block. Then once that is done, you mark your hip line, your knee line, and the skirt length. So the skirt length is already at the down part, so this is my knee line and that's my hip line, and the upper part will be my waist. So now the first thing you're going to do is to mark your waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance, or any allowance that you want to put. If you are putting a dart, you add your dart allowance, but this dress does not really need a dart. So now once I have measured my hip divided by 4 plus the allowance, whatever I have on the hip part, I'm going to deduct 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the knee part. So if it depends on how defined you want your knee part to be. If you want it to be really tapered around the knee, you're going to make it 2 inches. You're going to deduct 2 inches from your hip measurement. All right, so that is what I've done now. I've deducted the 2 inches from my hip measurement. Don't forget, this is a miniature, that's why it is not really showing the real measurement. So now at the skirt length, you're going to mark whatever you have on your hip. You can multiply it by 2 or you multiply it by 3 to determine how flared you want it to be at the skirt length, how free you want it to be. So you are going to multiply your hip, whatever you have at the hip line, times 2 or times 3, and then you are going to cut it out. So that is basically how to cut the front. If you want a fuller video and you really want to understand it, I'm going to drop the link to the tutorial that I made earlier on how to make a mermaid skirt in the description box, so you can go and watch that. So now this is the front, and we are going to be using this front to create the back part and then work on the arcing technique proper. So now for the back, I'm going to be taking my time to really explain the back part. So you are going to place your front pattern on a fresh pattern paper to determine the back. And for the back, you are not going to place any allowance at the back area because we are not cutting a cut together tail. We are going to be using the arcing technique to create our tail. All right, so you're going to place your front panel just the way I've placed it on this pattern paper now, and then you're going to draw out your lines, your hip line, your knee line, your skirt length, and the upper part of the paper is going to be the waist, and then you're going to draw the lines and label the lines. All right, so once that is done, you're just going to place the front part on the fresh pattern paper and just make sure that all the measurements are the same. You are not adding any extra allowance to it. All right, so now make sure that there is space at the down part of the pattern paper so that you can make your back part to be longer than the front. All right, because the back has to be longer than the front. That is where the arcing technique starts from. You can go by 10 inches, 11 inches, you can go down by 10 inches or 11 inches, 15 inches, depending on how flowing you want it to be. So now I'm just eyeballing the length of this pattern paper because it is, it is a miniature. So now at the front part, you are going to go up by 2 inches and just curve it, because that point is not meant to be sharp. It is not meant to be sharp like that. So you are just going to go up by 2 inches at that edge and curve it. So once that is done and you've measured the length of what you want, how long you want it to be, then you are now going to take your chalk or marker and just curve it from the front part. I'm just going to curve it like that to the edge of the back part, just like that. I'm going to curve it like that, and then you are going to cut it out. So now the back is longer than the front, and the side of the back is going to be the same measurement as the front. You are not adding any allowance. Remember, we've added all our allowances on the paper, so you're just going to cut it the exact way. I hope you understand. So after you've cut it out, now you are going to remove the front pattern and we are going to work on the back pattern. So now this is where the arcing technique really is needed. Now this is how we are going to be forming our tail. So now you are going to measure from your knee length. You see, I'm just trying to show you that the front is longer than the back is longer than the front. So you are going to measure from your knee length to where the back length stops, and that will be the width of the new pattern paper you are going to be adding to the back of your pattern paper, of your normal block that we've created. So now you measure what you have on your knee line to the down part of the paper. Whatever you have, whatever your answer is, it will be the width of the new paper that you are placing at the back of your back pattern. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing. I just added a fresh pattern paper to the back of the back panel, and if you notice, the paper went higher than the knee. It's not starting exactly on the knee, so you are going to understand why that is meant to be like that at the later part of this video. So now whatever you have from your knee to the down part of the paper, it will be the width from that point, the edge of the back, to where the new pattern paper that you added is going to stop. I hope you get me. So that will be the width of the paper, and the length will be the same length as the back measurement. All right, so now once that is done, you are going to cut it out. So that is the first step to the arcing technique. So now you will take a fresh pattern paper. So from where the width of the first pattern paper that you added to the back of the black panel, where it stops, you are now going to measure the length of your train, how long you want it to be. So that's from that point where that paper stops is where the length of your train is going to start. So you can use 15 inches upwards, you can use 30 inches, you can use 40 inches, depending on the amount of fabric that you have and how long you want your bridal dress to be. So now I'm just drawing a straight line for you to know where that first paper stopped. So from where that first paper stopped, you're just going to mark the width of your train. So from that point, you can mark 15 inches, you can mark 30 inches, and that will be the new line that I'm drawing now. So let's assume this is 30 inches now. That is the new line that I'm drawing now, and then I'm cutting it out. So now our train is longer by 15 inches or 30 inches or 40 inches or 50 inches. It's your call, all right, depending on how long you want your train to be. And now once that is done, you're just going to curve it out to join the curve that was coming from the back pattern, like that. And you're just going to curve it out neatly, and you're going to cut it out. So this is basically the arcing technique. All right, this is how to create your train for your bridal dress. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. There is no two way to it. This is the exact arcing technique. So now your fabric is already longer at the back by length, and it's already longer. The train is also going to, is going to be longer at the back, and it's going to be sitting at the back of your dress. So it's going to look as if, you are going to place this on your fabric, and you are going to cut it together. So it's going to look as if you've cut a cut together mermaid dress, but it is not so. This is the technique that is used for bridal dresses. That is why it's always curvy, and it's going to sit at the back as if they put a cone at the back. They didn't put a cone, they cut it together like this, and that is why it is going to be sitting properly on the person's body. So when you are cutting, you are just going to add your zip allowance to the upper part of the back pattern at the back like this. You're going to add your zip allowance, and you're going to cut everything exactly the same way. So now the reason why the paper is longer from the knee length is because your paper is not meant to start at the knee line. It's meant to, you are meant to go upwards by 1.5 inches or 2 inches higher, so that it can sit exactly below the bum, very close to the bum, so that it can give it a defined look, and it's going to give it a well defined look, and it's going to sit properly. So from the knee length, when you are cutting yours, you go upwards by 1.5 inches, 2 inches, or 3 inches, or the maximum is 3 inches. The maximum is 3 inches. Don't go higher than 3 inches. And then you're going to cut it out. And so the arcing technique is ready. So once you are done, you are just going to place your pattern on your fabric and cut it exactly like this. Just make sure that at the back you are adding some few inches for zip allowance, and at the arcing technique you are going to cut it exactly the same way, and that is it. This is the front pattern that I created earlier, and that is my waistline. This is my hip line. So now from the hip I deducted 2 inches on the knee line. So I wanted it to be a bit tapered at the knee line. I want it to have a defined look. I don't just want it to be looking funny. I want it to go inside at the knee line. So I took out 2 inches from the knee line, and the length, you're going to deduct your half length from the upper part, and the remaining length will be your full length. And see the curve that I was talking about. See that point is not sharp, so I curved it. I went up by 2 inches and curved it, and then the width of this paper is about 21 inches. And this is just, when I'm cutting this, I'm going to be cutting 2 of these, so by the time I open it up, it's going to be like 42 inches wide in front alone. So now, and the back is going to be wider, so you can imagine how full it is. So that is basically how to cut a bridal dress. On Tuesday, I'm going to be uploading the sewing part, and you are going to see the arcing technique, how I used it on my back pattern. I couldn't upload the video for this for the back here because I was so indisposed and I couldn't finish up the video. But on Tuesday, I'm going to upload it, and you're going to see the full back pattern and how to join it together. Thank you guys for watching. Till I see you in the next one. I love you and I care. Bye.